All right, let's talk about Slovakia. Big changes are on the horizon for 2026. So if you're living here under temporary protection, you're gonna wanna listen up. This is your guide to exactly what's changing and, more importantly, what you need to do to get ready for it. Okay, first things first, let's get the good news out of the way. You can breathe a little easier because the Slovak government has officially extended temporary protection all the way to March 4th, 2026. That's great. It gives you a solid baseline of security, knowing you can legally stay here. But, and this is a big but, that extension comes with a catch. A whole new set of rules is coming with it. We're talking about a dramatic shift in the system, and frankly, being unprepared could cause some serious headaches for you and your family. So, this brings us to a new reality for 2026. The government's calling it the consolidation package, and trust me, it's a game changer. This isn't just about small tweaks, it's a total overhaul of how support is managed in Slovakia. And this slide really lays it all out, the before and after. Think about it. From 2022 up until now, it's been all about an emergency response, right? Broad, pretty much unconditional support. But starting in 2026, that all changes. We're moving into a phase of, well, systemic consolidation. What does that mean for you? It means the welcome is now conditional. It's going to depend a lot more on your job, your economic activity, and frankly, how well you handle the paperwork. Okay, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, starting with something that impacts pretty much everyone: job benefits. Specifically, we're looking at how the new rules will affect your income if you happen to lose your job. Now, look closely at this timeline, because it is absolutely crucial. See that date, December 31st, 2025? That's your deadline. You have to register as a job applicant before then to get in under the old, more generous rules. If you wait until January 1st, 2026 or later, you fall into this new degressive system. And what that means is your benefit payment actually shrinks over time. By the 6th month, it could drop all the way down to just 20%. That's a huge drop. And here's what that looks like in real money. This chart just spells it out. For your average earner, if you register under the 2025 system, you're looking at about 3,000 euros over 6 months. But if you register under the new 2026 system, that number drops to around 2,400. We're talking about a pretty significant cut, especially at a time when you'd need that money the most. So let's just boil it down to one number: 600 euros. That's the net loss we're talking about. Missing that December 31st deadline will literally cost you hundreds of euros. It's really that simple. Okay, listen up, because this is a classic bureaucratic trap you really need to avoid. To get any of these benefits, you have to register as an uchádzač o zamestnanie. That's the official job applicant status. Just registering an interest in employment, which is called záujemca, is not going to cut it. It won't qualify you for any payments. This distinction is so important. All right, moving on from jobs, let's talk about the new rules for home and family. We're going to cover some pretty major changes to housing support and, importantly, school attendance for your kids. So the housing allowance, the money the state pays directly to your landlord, it's getting a drastic cut. From now on, those payments will just stop after 60 days. 60. The only way around this is if you're officially classified as a vulnerable person. But here's the key. The burden of proof is entirely on you. You have to be the one to submit that proof to your local municipality. So you're probably asking, well, who counts as vulnerable? Here's a quick checklist to see if you qualify. Are you 65 or older? Are you a parent taking care of a child under 5? Or do you have a child under 5? Do you have a severe disability, what they call ZTP? Or is your household receiving material need assistance? If you check any of those boxes, you might be exempt. But remember, you've got to have the paperwork to prove it. Okay, let's talk about school. This is a huge one, and it's non-negotiable. The days of voluntary integration are officially over. Starting with the 2025-2026 school year, your child must be enrolled in a Slovak school, period. And just to be crystal clear on this, having your child attend an online school in Ukraine, that no longer counts. It doesn't fulfill the legal requirement here in Slovakia anymore. And if you don't enroll your child in a local school, what's called a catchment school or spotova škola, you could be facing fines, and social services might even get involved. This is now a mandatory requirement. All right, all of this leads to a really key choice you might have to make about your resident status. We're talking about temporary protection versus a formal temporary residence permit. It's a big decision. So let's break down the options here. On one hand, you've got temporary residence. Yeah, it's a ton of paperwork, much higher level of bureaucracy, but it does offer a clearer path to permanent residency down the line. On the other hand, temporary protection is way easier to maintain. But, and this is the most critical difference between the two, it's what happens if you lose your job. And this quote right here says it all. This is probably the most important thing to understand. A temporary residence permit is almost always tied to a specific purpose, like your job. So if you lose that job, the clock starts ticking. You have a very, very short window to find a new one, or you could risk losing your right to stay in the country. With temporary protection, though, you're still legally here, even if you become unemployed. That's a massive difference in security. Okay, I know that was a ton of information, so let's boil it all down into a simple, urgent action checklist. These are the things you really need to be thinking about and doing right now to get ready. So with all these changes coming, the big question is, what do you need to do right now? What are your immediate priorities to make sure you and your family are protected? Here's your priority to-do list. Number 1. If there's any chance you might lose your job, you have to get registered as a job applicant before December 31st, 2025. Don't wait. Number 2, if you think you might be vulnerable, get your proof submitted to your municipality as soon as possible to keep that housing allowance. Number 3, get your kids enrolled in a Slovak school. Do it now. And finally, number 4, before you even think about switching to temporary residence, take a long, hard look at your job security. Be really honest with yourself. So, the bottom line for 2026 is this. The welcome mat is still out, but it's become conditional. It's now based on your job, on your family's integration, and on your ability to navigate all this new paperwork. So the final question I'll leave you with is a simple one. Are you ready to meet these new conditions?